Mayuresh Joshi, fund manager at Angel Broking, as well joins in with his take on the market. Mayuresh, hi, afternoon. What's the word across your dealing rooms? Does it seem like the 0.5% move yesterday, 1% today, there is more to go in the run-up to December 18th? Or do you think market men would now wait for the final result for the next dash of the move on the index?
Afternoon, Aisha. I think a large part of the market move has probably happened post the exit poll numbers yesterday. So I think if the testimony to the pudding lies in the actual numbers coming as the exit polls indicate, you might still have a further uptick. But then the markets will move on to the original fundamental aspects that it looks at. So corporate earnings, as Q3 earnings will start coming through, the run-up to the budget. Crude is the outside factor for the markets at this point of time as well, and a whole host of domestic cues to watch out for in terms of how the fiscal spending is expected to pan out in the coming fiscal year, and what happens with the private capex cycle along with corporate earnings, which are largely expected to improve along with credit growth picking up. So I think the markets will revert back to its mean looking at fundamentals, but yes, a sentimental push through with numbers expected as per exit polls if they come on Monday is not ruled out for the markets.
The one stock that you're betting on, Mayuresh, Asian Granito, that's a big mover today, a 7% move coming in. Edelweiss Securities is also betting big on this entire home improvement / home decor segment. But tell us, why is it that you like Asian Granito in particular?
So again, I think the obvious move that the management is envisaging in terms of the retail contribution to the overall top line, specifically on the vitrified tiles, which is a high margin business, is expected to move up from 35% to 50% over the next couple of years. Again, the acquisition that it's done of artistic ceramic, that acquisition is going to be hugely margin accretive for the company as well, because the contract that they have entered with RasGas at discounted prices will prop up the overall consolidated margins. So the margin improvement along with vitrified tiles where the realizations are better, I think that should prop up the earnings outlook for the company going forward. So you're expecting a very strong top line, bottom line growth for Asian Granito, and we remain extremely positive on the stock over the next 12 to 15 months.
In fact, talking about home improvement names like an Asian Granito, here's Edelweiss Securities betting big.
Mayuresh, cement space, we did, talk about that a couple of days back also when there was this ban lifted by Supreme Court on pet coke use. What's your take? We haven't seen any significant fervor in cement space after that. On the contrary, we are seeing prices cooling off, stock prices, I mean. Mayuresh?
So large elements, Siddharth, I think it was a sentimental push through which acted as a positive. So to a large extent, Siddharth, I think it was a sentimental push through that acted positively on stock prices. But even pet coke prices have moved up significantly over the past few quarters, and that is going to move up the raw material costs for a lot of the cement companies who are consuming this. Add to it, again, I think the freight costs are significantly higher, and that will have an effect in terms of an EBITDA per ton basis, because realizations have not moved up in the same quantum. Having said that, I think with the assumption of government spending continuing on infrastructure and affordable housing, the cement demand and offtake will pick up significantly. There have been sand mining issues in Rajasthan and some sand mining issues operating for companies operating out of the south. But again, over the next few quarters, I think they should start getting resolved and the utilization levels should inch up. So my own sense is that JK Cement is something I still continue to prefer on declines. Grey cement volumes have held up. The realizations have held up. White cement realization and volume growth should prop up the consolidated earnings. So JK Cement is something that I still continue to prefer on declines.
But I just want to talk about some of the other stock names as well that you prefer as a house. And Asian Granito was one stock that you're bullish on. What are the other two stocks that you're recommending?
So I think in terms of a similar theme that one of my peers talked about, Century Ply is something that I'll still continue to prefer. And again, I think the entire argument of the unorganized sector being so huge within this space and part of the business moving to the organized player like Century would augur well. Again, the kind of capacity expansion that we've seen, laminate capacity has moved up from 4.8 million sheets to 7.2. The MDF capacity has got commissioned, the pre-lam capacity has got commissioned, which means that over the next 2 years, capex requirements will be absolutely low for the company. The realization growth should be far better over the next few quarters, both for the plywoods business and the laminate business, which on the export part has struggled but should start recovering over the next few quarters. And this should lend the lending support on the leverage on the balance sheet and the earnings that the company derives. So Century Ply is something that I still continue to prefer on declines. And yes, I think within the banking space, my own sense is that ICICI Bank within the large cap names is still something that I'll continue to prefer on decline. The next 2 quarters, I think the worst in terms of asset quality recognition, provisioning and credit costs should largely be over, and as credit cost picks up, the entire argument in terms of return ratios getting normalized and reverting to mean that we had seen over the last few years has to be held true. So again, I think the worst should probably get over, and in terms of valuations, I think it is pretty attractively placed at this point of time.
Okay, gentlemen, we'll leave it at that. Thank all of you for walking us through this last lap of what's turned out to be an extremely interesting and eventful trading week. We're going to take a very quick break. When we come